Hello everyone, Kate from the Fold Line. I am in Covent Garden, which can only mean one thing: it is Sow the Trend Spring. So I am going to hit the high street, look at all the shops, and then go home and find patterns for you to sow this spring. I was hoping it was going to be really lovely and sunny, but it's a bit grey, I'm not going to lie. It's a bit grey, but I'm here with all the beautiful flowers in Covent Garden. So yeah, I'm about to go and grab a coffee and then go and have a look around, and I will take you along with me. So I'm in the piazza, and actually it's a really nice time to come to Covent Garden if you can. It's so quiet, there's no one here, it's like completely empty. The shops are just about to open. So what I have done differently this time is I've actually gone and looked at I usually do it afterwards, but I've looked at all the shows, so all the kind of big designers, to see what the kind of core trends are for spring, and then I'm going to kind of see how much of that has filtered down through to the shops. So it looks like it's going to be very sort of understated and very muted. Again, it's, you know, a reflection of what is going on financially in the world at the moment, so I think it is going to be quite a sort of, I don't think it's going to be loads of like new trends, but I will report back. So I will go up there now, the shops are just opening. I'm going to get a coffee because I am gasping for some caffeine, and yeah, I will take you with me. So one of my favourite things about Covent Garden is that because it's such an old part of the city, there are really nice like tiny little streets here with loads of interesting shops in. So I'm going to go and have a look in some of those now. I've just been down Floral Street, which is, actually I'll take you and you can have a look. It's one of my favourite streets in London. It's like a proper old, I always kind of walk down it, but look, here we go. Yeah. And they've got these amazing rainbow bollards at the moment, you can see on the other side, all the way up. Yeah, so yeah, there's some good stuff so far. I've got some good ideas about patterns, and as I was saying before, it is going to be quite muted. So I've just been into the Ganni shop, which, my hair looks, sorry, it's looking like a bird's nest. They've got some really nice pieces in this season. This shop probably has the most print that I've seen in any of the shops so far. Lots of leopard print, which, you know, I can never get enough of. I'm now about to go and do some of the more kind of like Arket, COS, and Other Stories, Uniqlo, those sort of brands. So I will report back. So I feel like that is me done, and I've just been into Other Stories, which is just behind me. Look at this like cool thing up there. Anyway, I think I've got like a good idea now of some stuff. It is very muted, not very much print, so it's quite similar to winter in the fact there's not loads of print, muted colours, quite a lot of sheers, but there's some nice sort of springy bits in there. I think I've got some ideas of patterns, so I will now head home. But first, I never actually got a coffee, I just ended up going into all the shops, so I'm going to go and find some coffee, and then I will go home and basically do my homework. Actually, I can walk and talk. This is quite a dangerous thing to do. So yeah, so I'm going to go get coffee, and yeah, I've got loads of ideas for patterns actually, so I'm quite excited about this one. I don't think it's going to be the most exciting in terms of the styles, but yeah, I think there'll be some nice bits. So now, I'm cutting through. I'm going to go to, I don't know, maybe to Neil's Yard. Should I take you to Neil's Yard with me? Sorry, I feel like this is turning not into trend-based stuff. I'm gonna be quiet. So yeah, once I've got coffee, there's coffee here. Okay, I have found coffee. It's like disco. Everything's going to be okay, and I will be back next time you see me. I'll be back at my desk, just in case you're worried. I got one. There is nothing better than that first hit of hardcore caffeine to your veins. Right, I'm back from town. I've done my homework. I have split it into kind of core topics or core trends, colours, Then this week we are going to cover outerwear and tops, and next week we will do dresses and bottoms. So I thought that would work quite well to split it, because there's so much to talk about, and that way I feel like it'll just work better. So I'm going to start with colours, and then I'm going to talk about some kind of core trends that were on the catwalk. So I said this time that I did it slightly differently. I actually looked at what was on the catwalk, what had filtered down into the shops, and actually I found that quite a useful way to do it, just to see and basically keep myself so that I knew that I was kind of picking the right stuff, because I didn't want to kind of get it wrong. Right, let's start with colour and pattern, and we can just cancel out pattern because there was hardly any pattern this time, guys. It's really plain based, and I know that I said that for the autumn trends, but I feel like this has gone another level. Everything is really muted and pared back. Colouring is very, you can see from here, quite tonal. In terms of putting things together, you can see quite a lot of dressing in the entire kind of all one, like colour blocking in all one colour, or different shades of a particular colour. So loads of cream, loads and loads of khaki colour, lots of black, this really lovely kind of minty blue, icy blue that was in a lot of the shops, a khaki colour, a pale pink, and then this pop of bright red. Now the red was very much in during winter, that kind of high, like acidy red. And this I feel has like trickled through to spring. There wasn't loads of it, but there was quite a bit of it, enough for me to kind of slot it in. But I actually love this colour palette. I think all the things work really well together. I think you can pull a lot of stuff from your actual wardrobe that you've got now. I bet you have got some creams and some kind of beigey colours and blacks. And then you can add in like the kind of icy blues if you don't have that, or the khaki, or that. The pink I thought was really lovely, kind of really pale, kind of delicate pink. So though that is your colour palette, if you're thinking spring, this is what you should be looking at. So now we're going to talk about kind of core trends. Now the titles of these are from grown-up people who work in fashion. I did not come up with the names. So the first one is subversive office wear. I thought, what on earth is that? But as soon as I got into the shops, I knew exactly what they meant. Muted tailoring, basically muted stuff that you'd wear to your office. And all the mannequins were styled, loads of the mannequins were styled this way, sort of boxy blazers, plain t-shirts. Yeah, it was, you know, does what it says on the tin. So that was one core trend that I saw a lot on the high street. The next one was athletic preppy. This was another thing that I saw a lot of. Knitted polo shirts, striped shirts worn with jumpers over the top. That sort of preppy look, which I think is something that most people have a couple of bits within their, either their handmade wardrobe or their kind of full wardrobe, that you can pull out and pair with other things to make things look preppy. And then the last one, which was, this has definitely come across from winter, stealth wealth, which is basically very muted, looks expensive, what basically, understated wealth. These are the trends that I thought I saw the most of. There were some other ones that they spoke about, but these were the ones that I felt within the spring high street offering was very present. Right, so we're going to start talking outerwear. First up, we have got bomber jackets. I know they are back again for spring. I'm quite delighted about this because I think they are really great items for your wardrobe. I own a few, I wear a lot. So you can see from these pictures, they actually all look quite different. And this is the reason I've got so many different kind of styles, is because they really were a wide range of offering, which makes me feel like this is a very important piece to have within your wardrobe if you like a bomber. So there were some that were kind of quite oversized. You can see the John Lewis one. There were ones that were cropped, like the mango one, and the ASOS and John Lewis ones had interesting details on, like pocket details. They were also made out of, there were lots that were made out of jersey. There were some that were made out of knit. So they span a lot of different kind of genres of fabrication. And to be honest, proportion. So really you can kind of get creative with this. So I've got 3 patterns to talk to you about. Now I'm not going to go into full details with all of these patterns because otherwise I would be talking for probably 25 hours and we have a lot to get through, guys. So first one, I've got the Fibre Mood Vinny jacket. I picked this one because I thought this worked really nicely if you like that sort of baggy, boxy, oversized bomber. This is like a great option. I actually love how they've got it styled with a mini skirt. I think it would work really well. If you did want something a little bit more cropped and a little bit more fitted, then I thought that the Maker's Atelier bomber jacket would work really well for this. You can see proportion wise, it's a little bit shorter in the body, and I think that would also work really nicely. Last but not least, we've got the Lenoline Arthur bomber. Now I put this one in because this is a jersey pattern, which is great. So as I was saying, some of the bombers are made out of knit, but I also put this one in because it's got these really interesting pocket details. And I think you can mix and match and do what you like, but this one felt like a really good option. So that is the first bit of outerwear you should be thinking about, mulling over. Next up, we've got the oversized trench, and this really was, I feel like, a very important piece for spring. Every single high street shop had a variation of this. Colouring, you can see it's kind of the usual muted greens, camely colours, cream if you're brave and don't have anything that could get muddy, or you live in a very ordered life. And I actually really love the John Lewis, that kind of blue version, and I've seen a lot of people buying this and wearing it online, and it's great. So that could be a nice option to do something a bit different, that kind of bluey colour. You can see that proportions are big on this. Basically looks like you borrowed your partner's kind of boyfriend style, kind of baggy. Pattern wise, I've got 3 options. They all kind of tick a different box. So for me, the kind of closest to this would be the McCall's 8246. I love this pattern. It's got that kind of oversized feel. It also feels, out of the 3 options, the most traditional, closest to a trench. It's got lots of nice detailing, storm flaps, etc. If you wanted this but you're slightly earlier on in your making journey and you're scared of all of those details that you get in the McCall's one, the Barra Studio Cara trench coat is a really great option. It is actually quite a simple trench coat. It's just so have a look at the line drawing because you'll be able to see there are a lot less kind of fiddly details on it, but it sort of ticks that sort of oversized trench. Last but not least, we've got the Vicky So's Sybil trench. I put this one in because I thought this had really interesting details, and quite a lot of the shops had this sort of oversized trench and then a sort of take on a sort of almost like in between a mac and a trench, with some trench details, some mac details. So I thought this kind of jacket, or coat, sorry, really ticked both of those boxes. So that is my offering on the trench front. It doesn't end here, team. Trench was very strong. They also had loads and loads of cropped trench coats. These were everywhere, guys. So I love this because I personally find a trench coat a bit annoying. There's a lot of flapping and bits and toggles and all the rest of it. But I actually really like the idea of a cropped version. I've got 2 different, you can see the Arquette version is cut slightly longer. There were some of these styles in the high street, but definitely I would say more on the sort of John Lewis Mango, kind of properly cropped. I think they're really nice, and I like this sort of boxy sizing on them. I think they're quite interesting. So I've got 2 patterns for this. The first one is the Merchant & Mills denim jacket. So this, I felt, was quite a nice nod. It's not as trenchy as the high street ones, but it does have quite a lot of the details. I think mainly it's actually adding bigger buttons will make it feel more trench coat, and you might need to cut it ever so slightly shorter and size up to make it kind of feel a bit boxy, but that would be a really good starting point. The other pattern I thought would work really well is a Sew Over It Soraya jacket. The reason I picked this is because, well, again, this is actually quite a nice easy one. It doesn't have loads of fastenings, but it does have a few trench coat details. It's quite a clever jacket this. So it's got nice little banding around the cuff, and you can see it's got kind of little storm flaps, but there are no buttons or anything down the front. Again, I would probably suggest with this to size it up to make it feel kind of nice and boxy and roomy like the stuff that I was showing you. So those are my bits of outerwear. Now let's move on to tops. So oversized shirts, this was a really key piece. It's great because you might already own one of these. If you don't, then don't worry, I've got some really great options. But oversized shirts everywhere. You can see here, styled in lots of different ways actually. So worn, quite a lot of them are worn open with a kind of t-shirt or a little like crop t-shirt underneath. Then here you've got them where they're kind of done up and tucked into a pair of jeans, or one half of the shirt, like one kind of side tucked in and the other out. But I think, you know, you're never going to not wear something like this. It's such a kind of classic piece for your wardrobe. So indie pattern wise, I've got 3 great options, and they're all, obviously because it's a shirt, they've got similar feels, but I thought I'd just put them in because they were all so good. I basically couldn't wheel it down to 2. So the first one is the Closet Core Jenna shirt. This is relatively new release, as anyone who's kind of follows all the releases is quite a new one. I love this. It's got really lovely lines. This one is cut, I would say, ever so slightly shorter than the other ones, and I really like the proportions of this. It's also got a really lovely kind of curve where it goes up at the sides and down at the back, and I think this is fab. If you are looking for something that is bigger and more boxy than that and ever so slightly longer, then the assembly line oversized shirt is so great. So many people have made it. It's a fab pattern, and I just feel like that one can almost do no wrong. The the Barra Studio Olivia blouse I put in because I think this feels ever so slightly closer to a blouse than a shirt. It feels a bit softer in its shape. It doesn't have some of the details. Again, it's slightly simpler construction wise, but it's got that kind of oversized feel. So I feel like those 3 are just like dream shirts. So if you're thinking shirts, please go and have a look at those because they're so lovely. The Jenna shirt is particularly perfect. So next we've got polo shirts. Yeah. So I was quite surprised to see these. I will say that they were all made in knit. So not jersey, knit, as in, you know, a cotton knitted fabric. So recreating this, I would say, is going to be slightly trickier because you're going to be making it in jersey. But if you can find something that is like a proper knit, then that is the way to go. I love these. I think they're great. They feel like sort of 1960s Pringle. I just, yeah, can't get enough. I particularly love the mango one with the contrast collar. I just think it's great. But these were in quite a lot of the shops, and I think they're really lovely. So 3 really good options for you. The first one is the Fibre Mood Amber Top. I picked this because this is quite a simple make. This version is quite relaxed fit. It's got the buttons down the front and little kind of grown on sleeves. So if you're looking for something that feels a little more relaxed, this is the way to go. If you really like the And Other Stories, the more classic feel without any fastenings at all, then the Style Arc RAF polo top is perfect, I mean almost spot on. And I feel like the And Other Stories one would work really well made in a jersey. So if you are in that sort of, that's the one that was kind of winking at you, then that pattern I thought was almost a perfect match. I felt like then the Juliana Martes Pippa Polo was kind of in the middle of the 2. It feels the closest to a proper old kind of polo shirt or rugby shirt. It's quite boxy fit, so I would probably size down in this or make sure that it's kind of slightly more fitted than it's being cut. But those 3 are thought were quite good options, and I really like the polo shirt. I think it's like a fun thing, and I like a collar, so it's a win for me. So now this is the last one for this week, the boxy t-shirt. And when I say boxy, I mean like super boxy. So you can see here the proportions of these t-shirts are quite big. The sleeves are almost kind of, particularly on that jigsaw version, like hugely exaggerated, almost like floaty sleeves. They're just, yeah, I mean, really, really boxy. I saw these everywhere, and they aren't just, it's the proportion, it's the length of the sleeve. Like they don't sit up so it looks like you're wearing, it doesn't look like you're wearing your kind of boyfriend's t-shirt. It's kind of more exaggerated than that. I actually really like the proportions of this. I'd like to see, I'm not sure whether this shape would suit me personally, but I really like it. So I've got two patterns. The first one is the Tessuti mica top. I've spoken about this one a lot. I love this. I think the proportions of this are great. So I put this one in. It's got a raglan sleeve, which is slightly different to the other ones. They don't have that. But I thought the proportions and the length and the kind of, you'll see, was pretty close. The other one that I thought would work really lovely is the Sewing Workshop Mason joggers and top. So this comes with the joggers as well as the top, but it's got that same feel. You can see that she's made it in a slightly drapier fabric, which is slightly closer to the pictures I was showing you. So I think it's basically picking between which one you prefer and if you like a raglan or not. So that is it for the first half of Sew the Trends. I hope that was useful. Next Saturday, the next instalment will go up where we'll talk dresses and then bottoms. So I've got some really lovely, lovely patterns, and I will look forward to seeing you next weekend.